Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Hour of Healing, continuation of What is Your Reason? Yes, my name is Candace. I am your host, and I'm again here with Dr. Joe as usual. Dr. Joe.
Hi, Sister Candice. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Great. I'm excited for this week because, I love relationships. That's one of my favorite topics. I just love love. I love unity. I love that whole concept of human relation. So whenever we're talking about things that helps with togetherness and things like that, I get excited. So I'm excited. Last week we really hit on some deep, interesting things that I believe we provoked some people, we healed some people, but this is Hour of Healing. It's our forte. We're going to continue that today. You might like, you might hate us at the end of the day, but we are here to heal communities, cities, families, individuals. So yeah, Dr. Joe, we're going to continue last week's topic, which is what is your reason? So if you want to take us through a few background and then we just get right into this week's subtopic.
Yes, Sister Candice. So, as I had shared last week, one of the things that really speared this topic, I was considering the areas of growth that we, by the mercies of God, listed for the year. And it came to my attention as I was going through the various topics that we have discussed since half of the year has already passed. And I realized that when it comes to the area of growth in relationships, we haven't dealt much with this year. Yes, every year we have maybe 2 or 3 recordings where we talk about marriage, but this year we really have not talked about it at all. And so I started thinking about some of the topics that we have. And then I realized we haven't discussed this topic. What is your reason? And truly, what we are trying to get at is that regardless of what relationship you are involved with, whether sibling, friendship, marital, or whatever have you, if there is any area of that relationship that is not growing or that has not become very functional, then rather than sitting down to look at all the reasons that the other parties may have that are contributing to that stunted growth, look at your own reason. Because whether you admit it or not, my dear audience, you are a part of why that stunted growth is happening in that relationship. So last week, by the grace of God, we looked at just a few of the things that I consider to be conceptual misunderstandings. And so what we are really trying to do is to highlight a few of the reasons, and by so doing, seeking grace that God will help us come to the place of healing. Because at the end of the day, when you are healed, when I'm healed, that is when our families, our communities, and our society can be transformed. So that's really some of the things that we are looking to be able to do with this recording.
Very powerful. When I was listening to you, something was coming in my mind about today's topic, which is reasons why people get married, the right and wrong reasons. That's what we're really going to talk about today. But I was thinking to myself with what we were talking about last week with the becoming and the will given. And, I feel like there are some instances where some people believe that they are ready to get married or they are ready to become. Right. But then they get into the marriage and there is this light bulb that goes off that I don't think this is the person I want to become with. Right. They are willing to become, but is this person the person I want to become with? So can we get into some of the reasons why people get married? Because if you are not the person I want to become with, I want to become that oneness with, then what was my reason in the first place?
Yes, again, that is a very powerful question. And I believe that looking at marriage as an isolated relationship case study, there are a few things that drive people to marriage that we think is good enough reason to get married because. Okay. And then, like you're saying, once we are in the marriage, we realize that maybe this was not reason enough. And interestingly, that was the original title of this conversation, Not Reason Enough. because I sat down and I started listing a few reasons over the years that I've heard people give as to why they got married. And in most instances, when these reasons were given, the marriage is at the verge of either breaking or they have already gone through divorce. And so they are giving the reasons why they got married in the first place. And Sister Candace, one of the first reasons that is not enough for a marriage is the reason of age. The reason of age. We live in an era where people have put timestamps on when people should get married and when people should have children and when people should have this, should have that. But I want our audience to understand that age alone in itself is not reason enough for marriage. The reason that I say this is because you can be 50 in age, but yet still, as far as the preparation for marriage, career, mindset, determination, self-discipline, commitment, as far as these things are concerned, your age might be 20. And so if you don't take time to build yourself in these areas, but you look at your age as a number and decide to get married, friends, you will be shocked that a few years after that, you will realize that that was not reason enough. So age is one of the major problem points when it comes to the reason why people get married. And truly, I tell people all the time that if you are 30 years old, because they say that you should be married by 25 or whatever number it is, because by 35, theoretically, they want to have all your kids. But if you're 30 years old and you decide to make a decision to commit the rest of your life to someone without you knowing yourself well, let's assume, well, the average age, there's no assumption here. The average age in America is about 70. That means you still have more than half of your life left to regret a decision you did not want to make. And so in that sense, wouldn't it be better for you to spend the next 10 years to build yourself until you are 40 and then
ready to give
that commitment? So age, Sister Candace, is a huge misconception when it comes to marriage. Let's talk about the second point, and I think this will ruffle a few feathers. And that is pregnancy outside marriage. A lot of people get married because there was pregnancy outside of the marriage. And this is different from if you were already on your way to being married. Let's say you are planned to get married, everything is in order, you are planning to get married, and then lack of control sets in, and then there is pregnancy, and then 2 months later you get married or whatever it is. No, that is very different. But you know clearly that you were just in a relationship and sin got the best of you. And so you got involved with your partner and pregnancy happened. And then you decide that because the pregnancy has come, we should get married. Friends, that also is not reason enough. Sister Candice, we're going to title this whole portion of our conversation, Not Reason Enough.
Not reason enough.
Because you will find that whereas all these things that we will go through are reasons, they are not reasons enough to build, maintain, and sustain a marriage. My dear Christian brother or sister, please hear me. I am not endorsing premarital sex or premarital sexual relations. But mistakes do happen. It happens to the best of us. The least we can do is to recognize the error, repent of that sin, seek guidance, and obtain grace from God to build self-control. If we don't do that, but we hide behind the idea or the concept or the provision of marriage to cover up for the error that we made, friends, it never goes away. It becomes that thing that stays with us to the point that if you don't take care, that very reason for which you got married
Can break it.
that premarital pregnancy for which you got married will become the same reason for which your marriage breaks up. Because the two of you have not gotten to the point where you both face the truth and were honest with each other to accept that you were wrong. And what happens? What does the Bible say about covering up sin? He says in the book of Proverbs, I believe, that the one who covers their sins will not prosper or flourish, but the one who recognizes their sin and confesses will obtain mercy. And so don't use pregnancy as a reason to get married. Sister Candace, there are people who got pregnant out of wedlock and faced the truth, repented of it, agreed to take care of the child, and they have been able to build a very healthy relationship with both the mother of the child and the child themselves, whilst also building their own families without there being any conflict. Let me tell you what happens when we use wedlock pregnancy as a reason to get married. We brush aside the thorough questioning and evaluations that we would have done of ourselves and of our partner, because we are all about covering up the mistake that happened. And yes, I know no child is a mistake, but my dear Christian brother, mistakes do happen. It was a mistake. It was an error, a sin. Repent, acknowledge it, seek mercy and grace to move on. In the same breath, Sister Candace, talking about premarital conception, we also have to talk about the act that leads to premarital pregnancies in the first place. My dear brother and sister, sex is not reason enough for marriage.
It clouds judgment.
It's not reason enough for marriage because, and I'll make this very short before you come attacking me. When you use sex as a reason for marriage, it becomes a chore. It becomes a task. It becomes a responsibility in the marriage rather than a blessing in the marriage. And dear friends, the way blessings impact us is very, very different from the way a chore, a task, responsibility impacts us. I read my case.
You know, I'm thinking to myself, like, how sometimes, you know, with the sex situation, people have sex, and then they get into this emotional thing, and it's like, oh, well, let's get married. So when you say sex is not enough reason to get married, what are we saying? We should, because someone can argue that they've been having sex with this person, but they at the same time, they've been asking all the necessary questions that they need to ask, and they find this person as a suitable person to marry them. So the sex was just the introduction for them to start thinking, maybe I can marry this person I'm having sex with. So can we clarify that? Because someone can make that argument. What if the person that I'm having sex with happens to be the one?
Well, Sister Candace, I don't know if all churches practice this, but I know of a few churches that when you go for marriage counseling, and you are having sexual relations before marriage, they will ask or they will demand that the two people who have come for the counseling abstain from any sexual relation for, I think, 3 months or 6 months.
That will clear your mind.
And there is a reason why it is a church principle, because sexual relations were a blessing that God intended for it to be released or given in marriage. It doesn't matter what society tells you. It doesn't matter what any political figure or any psychiatrist tells you. They did not invent it. So take it from the person who invented it. God invented it, and he invented it for marriage. And so we can make excuses all we want, but at the end of the day, Sister Candace, because it was a blessing intended for marriage, it clouds the judgment. It definitely does.
Yeah.
And why would you want to make a lifetime commitment to anything or anyone when your judgment is clouded? Let me ask you a simple question. Would you go buy a brand new car knowing very well you are under the influence of alcohol?
No.
Would you take all your money and go to an accountant that you haven't met before and say, this is all my life's worth in finance? Take it and do with it as you please. Sister Candice, we will not do that. Why? Because when we want to make life-altering decisions, we want to be as clear as possible, as sober as possible, as well-informed as possible, as free-willed as possible. And having sexual relations outside marriage will rob you of that free will and will rob you of that clarity in judgment, because the pleasure you get from it will prevent you from being rational, even if there is something very glaring before you. How many times have we been around people that we know are about to get married, and we look and we are like, really? They are about to get married? Like, they are not compatible. But yet still, we look at them and we say, well, maybe they love each other.
Basically, that's what makes it a wrong reason to get married, because it's not intended to even happen at all.
Before marriage.
So that makes it a wrong reason. And I believe a lot of people will not take this as that is the reason. But, we are highlighting to you that that could be a reason. Someone would just say, oh, no, that's not the reason. I saw other things, but baby, you shacked up before you felt like you liked the person. So it's not something that will come to many people that this is the reason. Like my sexual relation with them is the reason. But to be honest with you, when you get a lot of blunt, genuine women, they will tell you, oh, yeah, I gotta have that. They'll jokingly say things like that to their girlfriends, but that is the core of their heart. That's what's influencing them. And so I see how that's in play. And I like the part where you highlighted that society has made this a norm.
Yeah.
And we have accepted this, accepted it. It has seeped outside of society into the church, and it's been accepted as part of our life. That is not part of our life as a Christian. It's not our reality. It's not the expectation. It's not. It should not be part of our relations with one another. And I think that's also one of the reasons why families are broken too early, because the foundations are not set right. And this is one of the foundations that are laid in some relationships or in some marriages. And beloved, it will blow your mind with what Dr. Joe is saying, that it clouds your judgment. It will blow your mind until you stop doing it. You stop shacking up with. If you're with a man right now, if you're with a lady right now, stop. Like the 3 months thing, you're not getting married, but just stop and see. You're like, oh my God, their nose is so like, I don't even like it. It's amazing. It's real. I'm telling you, everything God has laid out in scriptures is for our own good. It sounds like a restrictive law, but it's truly, in the long run, like if you really obey it, it's for our own. Like you really start seeing stuff about the person you live next to and you're like, oh my God, I had no idea their ears are so big, So, but what is the other reason why?
Yes. Let's try to go through maybe 3 more reasons, and then we will see how we do on time. And this, I presume, doesn't happen too much in the Western part of the world. But there is this sense of financial security as a reason why people get married. And again, I will say, my dear friends, that is not reason enough, because finances can and may change. If that was the reason why you got married, then what do you do when that security is no longer there?
Run.
The other thing that marrying for financial security does, Sister Candice, is it creates the burden of dependence on the person you are getting married to. Because when they realize that it's just for that security that you want, they will resent you. And what do you think will happen when the person you are dependent on now resents you? Respect will go away. Their commitment with you becomes questionable, and their commitment to the marriage also becomes questionable. And so now you understand why some people will say, I give them whatever they need, and still be sleeping around and all kinds of things that are ungodly. Why? Because they realize that there is a dependence of you on them. And so getting married for financial reasons, I would say that also is not reason enough.
You know, you saying that, I actually never, I see it in movies and things like that, but I haven't really encountered someone who had that mindset until there was a patient I had. And we were talking about financial things, her husband was in stock, this and that, blah, blah, blah. So we're talking about financial freedom for, Black people and things like that. And then one of the reasons she said, she was like, you know what you have to do, my sister? Just marry rich. You just have to marry rich. That's the first step you have. I was like, I never thought about marrying rich, but maybe I'll think about that. Yeah. And so she said it, and the way she said it, I realized that there are people who have this concept. I'm looking for a rich person to marry. Rich young person, rich old person, like just a rich person. I want to marry rich as a goal. And I'm like, wow, interesting. She said, I married rich. That's why.
To even echo that or to emphasize your point, do you know that there are families that put pressure on their children to marry rich?
It's something that I think we don't speak about. So it's kind of like it's only in the movies or whatever. But it's actually in young girls coming up's mind, in their heart. I don't want no stress. I don't want this. I don't want that. I don't want to hustle. I just want a soft life. I just want an easy life. I'm just gonna marry rich. So I believe you can marry rich, but then there will always be that line drawn between you and that person. Because the essence of becoming is beyond the richness. Yes. It's beyond, like what you said, sex. It's beyond, the essence of becoming has nothing to do with these. It's part, but it's not the core or the main point of becoming, or the main concept, I should say, of becoming. And so I feel like I have this picture in my mind where you'll be married, you have a spouse, but there will not be that unity. There will not be that oneness, unless that was not the main reason. It was just an added bonus, a blessing. Like the money became a blessing, right? But if that's the core, there will always be that line. And I don't know what's the point of being married if there is that line drawn,
And Candace, the antidote to that is something that we don't emphasize enough in our society and even in our counselings. And that is marry with an intention of what you will give, not what you will get.
Interesting.
We don't emphasize that enough. And there are many reasons why we don't emphasize that. I talked about the family pressure in the first place. When we talk about family pressure, one of the interesting ways the family will pressure people is that a father will say to a daughter, or a mother will say to a son, the only way you leave this house is when you get married. That in itself is also pressure.
You put in their head, I better find somebody who has their own place.
Exactly. And so I know we're talking about financial pressure and things like that, but it all stems from pressure from our families. Most people don't want to stay in their parents' house forever.
Mm-hmm.
So that also is pressure. Sister
Yeah.
Candace, I want to talk about two more things, and then we will probably be able to wrap up and go from there. And this mainly will go to our Christian brothers and sisters. I had a dream. I had a dream. I had a dream. I kid you not, the number of times I've talked to some young people
who are married,
age and some younger,
who are married.
They believe that they know the person they will marry, or they believed they knew the person they will marry because they had a dream. And what I say to that is that, have you not read in your Bible that we can cause ourselves to dream dreams?
Mm-hmm. But I have a question.
I never knew this person. I never even knew anything about them. And I had the dream.
That's what I was going to say.
Ask God what that dream really meant. Sister Candace, if I know anything about dreams, sometimes we will see an image in a dream as a helper in life.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you saw marriage in your dream, marriage wasn't really what it represented.
Mm-hmm.
That was God communicating something else to you. Mm-hmm. When you heard the name in your dream, maybe that person wasn't your husband. Maybe that person was someone you needed to intercede for. Mm-hmm. Maybe that person was someone you needed to partner in ministry for. Mm-hmm. Or maybe that name represented a meaning that meant something to you.
For you. Mm-hmm.
Because names have meanings. Mm-hmm. Images represent symbols. Yeah. If you don't know this and you jump into marriage because you had a dream, keep dreaming, my friend. Because the very moment you wake up in that marriage, there might be trouble.
You dream your way into the marriage and then you wake up and you're like,
you have to dream your way to keep the marriage.
This is not God. This was not from God.
It's not reason enough. Yeah. I'm not saying it cannot be a reason, but it's not reason enough. Mm-hmm. Sister Candace, let me talk about one more, and then we will see if we'll be able to talk about anything else. Mm-hmm. And this one took me a long time to accept as not reason enough for marriage. And that is love without like.
Oh, yeah.
Loving someone without liking them is not reason enough to get married.
Yeah. You know, I'll let you continue, but when you watch like these old movies and, you know, when their young girls and boys are going to get married, like, oh, but Pops, I love her. I love this person. They'll be like, but do you like her? And they keep emphasizing, do you like her? But do you like her? I'm like, how can they love them and not like them? But that's something too I learned along the way. And I realized you can actually love someone and not like the person they are.
Absolutely.
You can be in love with them, in fact, but not like their individuality, like the person, the nature that, you know, so go ahead.
No, but let me even make it biblical for those who are more spiritual and think we are out of our minds. Do you realize that nowhere in Bible does it say like your enemies?
Love.
But God commands us to love our enemies. You can love someone and, like Sister Candace said, not like them.
Their nature, because we love our enemies, but we don't like.
The problem with this is, do you know that when love fails, it is like that rekindles love?
That sustains it even.
Liking someone will give you the ability to rekindle your love for them when they do something that makes you fall out of love with them. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But we don't take time to build like for people. We develop our love
Mm-hmm.
We do everything
Real
to
quick.
love,
Yeah, yeah,
but very seldom do we invest in liking people.
yeah,
Do
yeah.
you like how they talk? Do
Their
you
voice
like
are
how
knowing
they
you.
in public? Do you like how they spend money? Do you like how they eat?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Love can run out.
Yeah, yeah.
But when you like someone, that gives you an ability to be able to bring them back into the place of love. And that is why
Mm-hmm.
in our first part of this conversation, I talked about the fact that when there were arranged marriages,
Mm-hmm.
their divorce rates were not as high as ours.
No.
One thing a woman told me is when she first met her husband, because the marriage was arranged in a different country.
Mm-hmm.
When she first met her husband, the first thing she did was to find something she liked about them.
Mm-hmm.
And that alone was enough to help her live with this man for 3 years before they started falling in love with them.
3 years. Wow. Wow.
3 years. They've
Wow.
been married, I believe, for, I want to say 50 or 60 years.
Wow. Wow.
I think it's 50 years, Sister Candace. And this woman told me that the only advice she had from her parents
Wow.
to like the man.
Because they know it's not love here. There's no love here.
And so when she first met him,
Wow.
first thing she tried to do, and she did successfully, was find something she liked. And for 3 years, as she was waiting to fall in love with this man,
She
she
held
kept
on to them.
finding more things to like about him. And the way this conversation came about was she was telling me that her husband was her best friend.
Mm.
And he was her best friend because she liked everything about him. But he was her husband because now she loves him with all she has.
Wow. Wow.
So when you asked that question about friends becoming and all those things, and I said that it can work in certain areas. It works when we like them.
And you give it
Because
your own.
when you like them and you love them, then they can be your husband and at the same time be your friend.
Right, right. If you don't,
then you will end up either liking them as a friend or loving them as a husband.
Yeah. And I think before you said all of this, the moment you said you have to like them, I was thinking to myself, in order to like someone, you have to study them.
Yes.
And I'm not talking about people in our generation now, like we are courting, we are studying each other, that kind of studying, and they're just talking on the phone all night. They're probably having sex or whatever.
That's not studying.
That's not the study I'm talking about. But I think it requires an intentional observation of the person. Yes. And I think that's what this woman did. And, it's clicking in my mind. And I was listening to a preacher preach the other day, and they were like, when you marry a man, you have to study that man. And again, it's not the studying, but you have to observe intentionally, like put this man on a microscope or whatever. Look at their like little things, their mannerisms, like just pick things from them, like see what you like and stuff. Because, I'm thinking about this and I'm like, I love the fact that you said you have to like a person. Because most of the time we just love. But do you like the person?
Love all you want.
Do you like this person? Because when you are angry, love gone. Love goes away. It's so funny.
Love gone.
It's so funny. When you are angry, love is gone. When they hurt you, love is gone. When they offend you, it's like in that moment, for some reasons, you forget you love this person. But it's one thing you said is the like. And that like, you probably like how they laugh, but you are so offended, but they laugh and you're like, oh, that just reminded me I like this person.
Yes.
And you calm down, so it's very, very profound that you said that. And I wanted to emphasize on it for our listeners to know how important the like aspect is in all of this,
Yes, Sister Candace, thank you so much for that contribution. And, as you were talking, a thought came into my mind. And I think for the sake of time, I will wrap up with this. Do you know how in the olden days, in our cultures, especially in the African, Indian cultures and things like that, those places that are very traditional, do you know the process of marriage for those cultures? Back in the day, when a guy from one family wanted to marry a woman, or a woman wanted to marry a guy from another family, the first thing the elders of the house will do is to go to that person's house. They go to the house to inquire of them,
the person.
And when they go do that, they come and tell their son or their daughter that this house is a good house that you can marry in. They don't come and say this person is a good person that you can marry. They come and tell you about the house, the family that the person comes out of. Why? It's because the things to like about a person are built through family. They are things that people will learn through family.
The family.
And when you like the family, or the way family raises their children, that automatically helps their child, whether their son or daughter, like this person that they are about to go say, I love you too. There was a reason why their marriages lasted.
Interesting, because at the end of the day, you pick from your environment.
Yes, charity, they say, begins at home.
Wow.
And so when you go to our traditional homes and you go to a family that there's been multiple divorces in, your parents will tell you in those traditional settings that this family we don't marry in. And when you are bold enough to ask them why, they will tell you that something about this family makes all the children that go to marriage come back.
It's a family issue.
It's something that has to do with a home. It's something that has to do with the liking of that family. And so, traditionally, a family would move heaven and earth to prevent their loved one from marrying into certain families because they don't like them.
Wow.
Dear audience,
so good.
These things that we are talking about, there are many, many more. Things like fear of loneliness, things like desire for children, things like seeking validation. These are all reasons. I think last week I even talked about fantasizing about weddings. People just have an idea of a wedding in their mind so much that they are consumed with the wedding. But the issue is they go through everything they have to go through to get this fancy wedding. And then they get home and they are not ready to submit to the necessary obligations as a husband or as a wife. But the wedding ceremony, they planned it to the T. What is the point of planning your wedding to the T when you have not taken the necessary steps to build a foundation that will sustain that wedding ceremony? Dear,
that's what we think about.
What is your reason? We've looked at many reasons that are not reasons enough. In combination, yes, they might be good enough reason, but isolated, they are not reasons.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
For those of us in marriages and those of us who are seeking to be married, those of us who are courting or dating and all these things,
Mm-hmm.
let's take time to ask ourselves these questions.
Yeah.
What is my reason? And is my reason enough for the state of my marriage, for the decision to get married? Because, friends, whether we like it or not, until we come to the realization and the acceptance of what our reasons are, if they are not reasons enough now, they will never be reasons enough in the future or any other time. So find the right reasons and then proceed with it. If there is a conflict in your home right now, what is your reason for that conflict still going on?
Mm-hmm.
Is it reason enough to lose your peace and your joy over? If it's not, why don't you do something about it?
Yes.
It's your reason for
Mm-hmm.
this conflict and battle to last one more night.
Mm-hmm.
It's your reason. And is it reason enough? Thank you so much.
And on that note, our time is up. We're going to wrap it up for this week. And, I just wanted to make this comment before we end this session. But someone is listening to us and they already went into marriage for monetary reasons. They already made that decision. It was a sexual, whatever. Whatever the reason is, if it was a wrong reason, accept it. Acknowledge, accept. And Dr. Joe mentioned some of them before. Repent from it. Even if you're already married, repent, right? And go back to the drawing board. And I feel like there's always something to like about someone. Absolutely. It's just a matter of us accepting that this is what we want to like about this person. A lot of things in life, it's a decision, right? Like he rightfully said, forgiveness is a decision. So you can just decide, I want to like this person because the reasons why you got married was wrong. But now I want to go back to the drawing board and just find something to like about them, build love from that angle. And there's nothing God cannot do or fix, if the right steps are put in place. And so I just want to encourage whoever is out there, if you started wrong, it's never too late. Just accept the part where you went wrong and take some of these lessons we teach here, heal your family, heal your marriage, and life goes on because God is always faithful and merciful. But God bless you all for tuning in today. Yes, we are ending this topic. What is your reason? And this week's was not reason enough, stroke, reasons why people get married, the wrong reasons why people get married. But be sure to share it on all our social media handles. And we will see you same time next week. God bless you and bye-bye.